What is bodhicitta? The so-called bodhicitta is composed of two requisites. The first requisite is having the compassion to deliver all sentient beings from the suffering of samsara. Though we may not have the capability now, it can be developed. If we do not practice the Dharma, we will never have the ability. But if we do and are willing to make an effort, even though our capability is still somewhat lacking at the moment, we need not worry too much about it. Shakyamuni Buddha also began his path as an ordinary person and eventually attained enlightenment. He was not born a Buddha. In the biography of Milarepa, one disciple said to Milarepa, "Master, you must be an emanation of Vajrapani or some Buddha." Milarepa immediately retorted, "I know you want to show your respect to me by saying that. Yet it is a serious defamation to the Dharma because it indicates that you don't believe that the Dharma can transform an ordinary person into someone like me. Therefore, the issue is not whether one has the capability, but the determination to set about obtaining that capability from now on." Actually, it might not be that difficult to think occasionally, I want to deliver sentient beings from the suffering of samsara. This thought may come up when we are not enduring any pain or hardship and our livelihood is not threatened. However, when facing with a life or death situation, say if we were to choose between our own and others' death, perhaps we would be too embarrassed to say, "I want that person to die." But we would certainly say, "I don't want to die." This would be an indication of weak bodhicitta. The second requisite is having the determination to attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. This is because the attainment of Buddhahood is the ultimate way of freeing all sentient beings from suffering. Though we need various skillful means to achieve this goal, the most needed is not merely to offer others money, good reputation, enviable position, or to establish charities to feed or treat the poor. Instead, the most meaningful method is to propagate Buddha Dharma, from which others may find out for themselves the true nature of life. This is the only way that can really benefit others. As a matter of fact, after having aroused bodhicitta, it is acceptable for a bodhisattva to use all available means to benefit sentient beings, except the ones that only bring temporary benefit but leave endless troubles afterward. This is what the Buddha advised, which also points out the difference between the Mahayana and Theravada precepts. In the Theravada precepts, a line is clearly drawn between what one is permitted and forbidden to do, with no exception allowed. But a bodhisattva can do whatever is necessary to benefit sentient beings, as long as there is no selfish intent or any ill consequence thereof. It was with exactly this kind of foresight and open-mindedness that the vows of the bodhisattva were laid down. However, the bodhisattvas primarily do not use worldly means to save sentient beings, but show them instead how to choose the correct path by way of the Dharma. Man is an intelligent creature. Once they know the most reliable path, they will choose wisely and willingly take the path of enlightenment with enthusiasm. The practice of virtuous actions should never be a passive one. In fact, any good action, if forced, will not be good anymore as it comes not from the heart and is done merely as a formality. Therefore, it is extremely important to make everyone understand the essence, the view, and the conduct of Mahayana Buddhism. As for other beings, we can employ different methods that are suitable for them. For example, when liberating animals, we should recite the Buddha's names and mantras for these animals. They cannot understand the Dharma teachings, but we believe the recitation of sutras and mantras will sow seeds of liberation in their minds, and that these seeds will soon mature. By then, they will know how to take the path to liberation and will actively seek out its direction as well. This is all we can do for animals. Humans, on the other hand, understand ideas. Teaching them the Dharma then becomes something extremely important. In his explanation of the ornament of clear realization, Patrul Rinpoche raised a crucial point. He said, "The goal of the Bodhisattva is not to attain Buddhahood. If that was not the goal, would the practitioners of Mahayana have any goal at all?" What he really meant is that if the aspiration to attain Buddhahood was simply due to one's admiration for the Buddha's greatness, his pure innocence and fulfillment of all virtues, yet no concerns for liberation of other sentient beings, it would not be in accordance with the doctrine of Mahayana. In other words, if liberation of others is out of the consideration, no matter how hard one works to keep the vow of attaining Buddhahood, those efforts will not be counted as Mahayana practice. As one of the 5 major treatises, the Ornament of Clear Realization is certainly not one dealing with elementary subjects. It contains an abundance of instructions on practice and skillful means. Often enough, the masters abstracted their pith instructions from the 5 treatises and various other sutras and shastras. The above viewpoint, also inferred from the treatises by Patrul Rinpoche, is an important teaching and should be taken seriously by everyone. In summary, the first requisite of generating bodhicitta is the aspiration to deliver sentient beings from samsara. The second, the determination to attain Buddhahood in order to free sentient beings from the suffering of samsara. Now I have to remind everyone once again to recall and reflect on the many years of your Buddhist practice to see if you had in your mind only the interest of others and no concern at all for your own liberation. Had this idea ever crossed your mind? If not, there could not have been any real altruistic action either, and neither have you been Mahayana practitioner all these years. Besides, even if we have been reciting the sadhana of receiving bodhisattva vows every day, without the determination to attain Buddhahood for the sake of sentient beings, we are unlikely to be affected much by the recitation. It will just become a mere formality in the end. How dreadful that must be. If bodhicitta has not been aroused so far, every endeavor should be made to do so. A rather detailed explanation of the specific methods can be found in the words of my perfect teacher, and more extensive instructions on the subject are available in notes on the words of my perfect teacher, which also have been included in Wisdom Light I teachings on the 5 preliminaries. 1. So there is no need to repeat again now. Teachings in general are easier to understand. Unlike treatises, once understood and subsequently applied in actual practice, uncontrived bodhicitta can surely be aroused. As you all know, the achievement of a trained athlete far exceeds that of an untrained person. Through training, however, the untrained can achieve the same result. Having bodhicitta or not is a matter of constant practice, not an unchangeable condition. If we do not start practicing now to generate bodhicitta, we will forever remain selfish and never become Mahayana practitioners. However, as we continue practicing for a period of time, say 3 months, half a year, or a year, bodhicitta will certainly be developed to some extent, but it takes more than just practice to arouse bodhicitta. Other supportive measures are also needed, such as learning the merit of bodhicitta, studying and contemplating the relevant Mahayana texts, accumulating the most possible merit, etc. Without doubt, the most important is to cultivate the 4 immeasurables: loving kindness, compassion, altruistic joy, and equanimity. If we can practice in this manner, arousing bodhicitta would not be a difficult task after all. For people who do not practice, it is indeed very difficult. Comparatively, those who are diligent will not find it quite so hard. In any case, all we Dharma practitioners must get past this one hurdle before going further down the path to liberation. In ancient times, cities were built with protective walls. If there was only one gate, everyone would have to go through that gate to go to any household in the city. Similarly, if we cannot break through the barrier of renunciation and bodhicitta, we will not have access to any genuine profound practices like the Great Perfection, Mahamudra, Kala Chakra, and others. Once we pass, the doors to the various systems of practice will all open, and we can choose at will to practice Pure Land, Zen, Madhyamaka, Mahamudra, or the Great Perfection. For lay people, cultivating bodhicitta and going to work actually are not two conflicting tasks. They can be undertaken simultaneously. Nowadays, the number of family members that one may need to support is probably 7 or 8 at most. Yet during the time of the Buddha, an Indian king who had to attend to numerous important issues every day could manage to practice Mahayana and rule the country at the same time under the guidance of the Buddha. Similarly, after we have generated renunciation and bodhicitta, we do not have to immediately abandon all worldly activities such as working, handling family affairs, and so forth. As long as we do not develop attachment to those ordinary activities, we can practice and work at the same time. Generating renunciation and bodhicitta not only are not incompatible with daily work, but may even come in handy for a true practitioner faced with thorny issues or interpersonal conflict. Of course, for those who believe in the law of cause and effect and the cycle of death and rebirth, but just want to do good deeds to obtain worldly benefits instead of ultimate liberation, it is not necessary to generate renunciation and bodhicitta. Yet for practitioners seeking the path of liberation and that of the bodhisattvas, arousing bodhicitta is a critical step that particularly should be kept in focus. With bodhicitta, many problems related to practice could be easily solved since bodhicitta has within itself the incredible capacity for accumulating merit, forgiving and purifying evil karma, and so forth. Thus, bodhicitta is regarded as the indispensable universal key for the entrance of Mahayana Buddhism.